My name is Diego Emiliano Robles Escobar. I am a student of the Tecnológico de Monterrey in Cuernavaca, Morelos, in Mexico. Currently, I am on high school and applying onto different universities to study medicine and become a future surgeon. During all high school, something that has been implemented on me and other students are the Sustainable Development Goals, an initiative promoted by the United Nations to continue the development agenda after the Millennium Development Goals onto resolving worldwide problems. On the fifth semester, we had the project of making an investigation of a problem related to one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, one that has been marking signs of rapid response and that caught my attention onto different present situations is number 13, climate action. By affecting every country on every continent, climate has turned to be one of the biggest and most worrying problems out there, disrupting national economies and affecting lives, costing people, communities, and others barely today and even more tomorrow. Weather patterns are changing, sea levels are rising, weather events are becoming more extreme, and greenhouse gas emissions are now at their highest level in history. Without action, the world's average surface temperature is likely to surpass 3 degrees centigrade this century. The poorest and most vulnerable people are being affected the most. By the time this investigation was made, an awful event occurred that shocked the entire world and that activated the red code onto every country. The Amazon rainforest covers much of northwestern Brazil and extends to Colombia, Peru, and other countries in South America. With 5.5 million square kilometers, it is the largest tropical forest in the world and it is famous for its enormous biodiversity. The lungs of the earth, as the Amazon is well known, suffered from an enormous quantity of forest fires that damaged the entire area. Around 906,000 hectares were lost in the forest fires and affected thousands of forms of life like vegetation or animals. In my point of view and perspective, this event was horrendous and worrying. To see the place when an enormous quantity of oxygen is produced, burning to ashes is nothing but sad and outrageous. And even more when the governments in Latin America did nothing for weeks, lying to its people saying there were no damages and admitting a fake control of the situation. For me, it was really disappointing that it took a lot of time for all the world to react and need to do something for our planet and for our future. For this project, I didn't have to take into account my opinion but someone else's too. So I had to interview 3 people to know different perspectives onto this problem. On the first interview, I got the chance to talk with Valentina Schultz, a digital creator from Brazil that I had the pleasure to meet when I went to Germany to study. She is someone who is very interested in preserving our planet and to make it prosper onto a good future. She told me that there must be action nowadays that we have the time to do so, because if we get to awake on further years, we may not have the chance to do something and to act. As a Brazilian, she told me that some people weren't informed at all in Brazil onto what was happening until it got worse. But what it was really outrageous was the fact that the government took so long to control it and even put an end to it. She concluded that the governments must rise and do something. On the second interview, I decided to look for a young point of view of this whole problem. So I decided to interview my cousin, Mariano Menendez, a high school student that has told me that its school has focused on the SDGs and the problems that involve the present and modern world. He spoke about how we must lower our greenhouse and CO2 emissions, otherwise we're doomed. Onto how we can help onto this problem, he talked about education and to promote it in quality and to create conscience. For the last interview, I decided to talk to another older person, someone who can give us the perspective from before to after. So I decided to ask my grandfather Roberto Escobar so that we can see a wide perspective of the problem. He gave a point of view that contrasts the before and after of this whole situation. With this interview, I could see that the problem has escalated quickly onto our evolution and progress in industry. He even marks that nowadays, industry will be hard to achieve an improvement. To conclude, we can see that these are just the early signs onto a future doom, and that we must do something. Times have changed and so we must. We must not be selfish unto looking for the present for something in equilibrium, but to seek for a prosperous future. Thanks for all your time and for your attention. It was a pleasure to communicate this and to create a thought in your mind.